Hello, listeners. Jordan here. I just want to let you know that you can listen to Nighttime early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Aaron Airport. How are you doing over there?
I'm doing very good. It's the middle of the week. It's hump day. That's another name for it. Yeah.
The most provocative day of the week.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's really cold here in Halifax. How's the weather in Cape Breton? And did you not just get smacked by an epic snowstorm?
No. Parts of the island got a lot of snow, but we did not. Not where I'm at.
Okay. I'm having a real hard time this year. I feel like I've always been kind of like tough about cold weather. Like I could go out on a cold day with a hoodie and people would be like, Jordan, like, aren't you freezing with a hoodie? And I'd be like, no, like, it's not that bad. But now I'll go out for 5 minutes to check the mail with like decked out with like boots, a sweater with my winter jacket on. I could check the mail and I'm pretty much running. I'm so cold. Then I get home and I have like chills for like an hour and a half. I just cannot handle, ever since I turned 40. It seems to be a problem.
Yeah, that happened to me too. Ever since I turned 40, I find it very challenging. When I go for my walks, I layer up, put 2 hoodies on, a winter jacket, mittens, hat, warm boots. It's just, and I have to really get moving fast for the body heat to start working. It's tough.
Let's get into it here. Before we keep Canada weird by highlighting the weird news stories that played out across the past week, let's do what we always do, our orientation for the episode, our reveal of our special drinks. I'll go first. Mm-hmm. I'm drinking an unsweetened herbal tea.
Oh, okay.
And it's got it's a mix of all different kind of like special like leaves and stuff that are really good for antioxidants and brain energy.
Omega 7s?
All different omegas are in here. Mm-hmm. There's no gluten.
No gluten. It's grain-free.
Yeah,
that's
so
old
I'm
school.
Doing good.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
My special drink tonight is a Zivia zero sugar tea, passion fruit flavor.
Wow, that looks very fancy, but it also seems very like modern and experimental. Are you sure you want to drink that?
It's a sweetened hibiscus tea.
Okay.
It is naturally flavored. It is caffeine free and it's 0 sugar.
Okay. It's a perfect time for me to play a voicemail right off the top of the episode here. And I think you'll see why I'm drinking what I'm drinking. We got a voicemail from a listener named Tina, and this voicemail is all about our special drinks. And I don't know what she's going to think about your 0 sugar thing.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. This is Tina. I'm calling from Arizona, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about your health in the new year. You both drink a lot of artificially sweetened drinks, and I'm just concerned about your health. I really am. So maybe more unsweet tea, sparkling water that's not sweetened, water, whatever. But I love you both. I enjoy your podcast, and I wish you a wonderful new year.
I think what she's saying is she doesn't want us to die.
Yeah, that's nice. We don't have these special drinks every day. We only do it when we record.
But that's why there's special drinks. It's
They're
special.
special.
We don't do it all.
It's okay. Like, every time we record this podcast, it's a holiday, and we should be able to treat ourselves to wonderful liquid desserts and friendship.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into it. We have a whole bunch of weird Canadian news and incidents to break down. We're going to have some themes tonight. We're going to be talking about some dumb Canadian criminals, which is something we always enjoy. We're going to be talking about animals. And yes, Aaron, I will save for last tonight's tire story, especially for you.
Yes.
And I'm saving it for last, but I'm hyping it up right at the beginning. It's a big one. Before we get to that, though, I have one story that's something like a consumer It's not so much a consumer complaint, it's just like an interesting Canadian consumer affairs story. This one's coming out of British Columbia. It said that the three rules to real estate sales are location, location, location. Well, that certainly seems to be the case for a property being sold in Whistler, BC. It has no bathroom, it has no kitchen, it doesn't even have any direct sunlight, and at almost $10,000 a square foot. Here's the story of the $110,000 parking spot.
So this is the listing. This is parking stall 106. This is your exclusive spot.
It looks like any other underground parking stall. Faded paint and a concrete pillar. But this spot is under Whistler's Glacier Lodge, steps from the Blackcomb gondola.
So it's listed at $110,000, which we've seen this year. We've seen about 5 sales at that price in the same parkade.
The ski in, ski out of parking stalls, if you will.
It's the convenience factor that people are looking for here.
But this incredibly expensive piece of concrete is not unusual for Whistler. In 2023, an individual parking stall sold for $195,000.
And that one is Village location, and you walk out the door and you're at the base of the Blackcomb and the Whistler gondola.
It's a reflection of the increasing demand for parking.
And it's busy, the lines are huge, so everyone and their dog wants to be here.
It's a capitalist world, supply and demand. Whistler's the hot spot.
Every day you look at the website and it's showing that we're 90, 95, 99% are full in each of the lots.
This winter season, for the first time, Whistler Blackcomb is trialling a carpooling initiative. So this lot, Lot 7 and a section of Creekside, is only free to cars with 4 or more people before 11 a.m. on peak days, such as weekends and stat holidays.
If it can help with the parking situation, that would be great.
While there have been calls for improved public transit around this area, it may not necessarily impact the sale price of a convenient parking spot.
I think the people who are using these parking stalls, they're not getting on a bus.
Brown believes this kind of investment will hold its value.
It's an easy story and an easy situation to kind of like gawk at and roll your eyes at, but really, I think it makes complete sense. Like, I bet you there's parking spots in downtown Toronto and downtown Vancouver that sell for that are probably, footsteps away from the financial district or something.
I would be extremely concerned, given the environmental trends of warming weather, that one would invest over $100,000 in a parking space that is completely dependent, whose value is completely dependent on a ski season, which may not exist in 10 to 15 years.
Are you suggesting that global warming is happening so rapidly that Whistler will be snowless in 10 to 15 years, possibly?
Maybe 20. I'm not sure. I'm not Bill Nye the Science Guy, but I certainly think that as a long-term investment, this is a bad choice.
Really? That wouldn't even have crossed my mind, the whole global warming thing. I think the person who's buying this, or that other one we heard about, the $195,000 parking spot, the person who's buying that doesn't care whether or not they lose that money.
Right.
It has to just be like some bloody rich person who probably shows up and they don't want the inconvenience of having to cruise around parking lots. They want to just get out of their car and it's worth it to them. So I think if there are options to spend money and get convenience, there are people with money that will do it.
It seemed like a very small space, so certainly a large truck that a lot of wealthy people would own wouldn't be able to fit in there.
Wealthy people, though, would also have smaller
but if
vehicles.
they're taking all their skis and all of their skiing equipment, I think it's problematic. I think the whole thing is an issue. I think
really
the space is too small. I
it?
think the long-term value doesn't add up due to our warming weather. And yeah, there's other ways you can spend $100,000. I mean, I've got some space in my yard. I could carve out a space for somebody to park, and I'll take your $100,000.
Yeah, I have a feeling though that your yard may not be where the person who buys this parking spot is looking to park.
Well,
I don't think it's about storage of the vehicle. in that sense. I also don't think they talked in that news piece there about improved public transit. That may relieve some of the pressure on the parking situation, but the guy or girl or person with a bunch of money is still going to pay for the convenience, and it's probably also a bit of a status symbol. Just like at a fancy golf club or something, where if there's paid parking or spaces you can buy, some guy probably thinks he's a hot shot because he owns the spot right outside the front door. I bet you it's the same at the ski hill.
Oh, for sure it is. I totally get that. But at the same time, I've got a space bigger than that in my yard that I'd happily let you have for $40.
We'll see if anyone takes you up on that. We've got to get into the next batch of stories, though. We'll take an ad break now because when we get back, we're going to have 2 back-to-back stories of dumb Canadian criminals. Both of these stories, they're kind of like in the style of M. Night Shyamalan. They both have like a twist ending. I'm excited to get into this. If people don't get the reference, M. Night Shyamalan is a movie director that Aaron and I both like, who's famous for having movies that kind of have like a twist at the end. Most famous movies by him would be
The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs,
The Village.
The Village.
I really like that.
Things started to topple after that.
Yeah, don't watch anything later than that. Quick ad break and we'll be back with our dumb Canadian criminal duo. Handsome Aaron Airport, if I told you I have 2 dumb Canadian crime stories, one involves a bike, one involves some drunk people, which one would you choose?
A bike or drunk people?
I know it's tough.
Well, I like bikes. I don't like drunk people.
Okay, let's start with the bike. I'll let you read it. We don't have audio for this. It's an article you can read. We'll call it Bike Theft Foils Bank Robbery in Hamilton, Ontario. If you have it in front of you, you want to take this one since you like bikes?
Absolutely. A would-be bank robber in Hamilton had an unfortunate twist of fate when his getaway vehicle, a bicycle, was stolen during the crime. The incident happened on December 18th at the BMO Bank of Montreal in Westcliff Mall. Around 1:30 p.m., a man rode his bike to the bank, left it outside, and entered the building at 375 Upper Paradise Road. Once inside, he handed a teller a note demanding cash, verbally threatened them, and gestured as though he had a weapon. However, bank employees confronted the suspect, forcing him to flee empty-handed. Upon leaving, he discovered that his bike was no longer where he had left it. He then fled on foot, heading north on Upper Paradise Road, and was last seen near Elmwood Avenue. The suspect is described as white between 5'4" and 5'8", and was wearing a long, multicolored scarf, black sunglasses, a blue surgical mask, a black jacket with fur trim, black gloves, dark pants, and white shoes during the incident. Who witnessed this man and was able to recall every single piece of clothing that this person had on? Ironically, the bike thief was also male, wearing all black clothing. Police are asking residents in the area to check their home security or dash cameras for any footage from the time of the incident. I don't even think they need footage because there was somebody with a pen and a piece of paper that was standing by the bank and that was taking the inventory of whatever the hell this person was wearing.
Yeah.
No bike, black shirt.
Yeah, it is. For one, the outfit's bizarre. Who goes to rob a bank? For one, on a bike. Well, maybe that's not a bad idea because if there's like congestion and with vehicles in the city, you could get away probably pretty quickly on a bike as the cops are stuck in traffic. I get that, but to show up on a bike wearing a long, multicolored scarf with a black hood, black jacket with like fur and all this stuff, it sounds like a crazy person. And then to have your bike stolen while you're inside, it's just a comedy of
and
errors.
To get nothing. They got nothing out of the...
They got, well, not only Not only did they get nothing, they got chased out of there by the bank employees. Like the guy was gesturing that he had a gun, which is probably like, I don't know, pointing at his jacket, or maybe he had his hand in his pocket and he was like pointing as if his hand was the gun. But whatever it was, they didn't believe him. So they chased him out of the bank. And his bike was stolen. So they chased him up the street, I guess. He manages to get away though.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen the look on his face when he came out of the bank empty-handed. He's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go home and start fresh tomorrow. Oh God, my bike is gone."
How could this day get any worse?
Oh,
Um, the I think the police asking for footage of the incident has nothing to do with solving the crime. I think they just know the whole thing is hilarious and they would love to see, like, it's one thing to get the amazing witness notes because that tells the entire story, but to see the footage, to submit this to something like America's Funniest Home Videos, if that still runs on TV after Saved by the Bell.
so the person who witnessed all of this and took all of the details down on paper.
Mhm.
So they witnessed the person pulling up on their bike, going into the bank, trying to rob it, and then witnessing somebody coming and stealing that bike and leaving, and then witnessing the person coming out with nothing. At any point in time, were they going to intervene in either of the crimes that they
He
thought
was
maybe? Yeah,
laughing and taking notes.
yeah.
Like, these are a bunch of
It
idiots.
sounds like the kind of
It's
person that would be like on the street who does like who like draws you, does like a character.
the
Yeah,
caricatures.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
that person is just
Yeah.
there, like, and he's got nobody to draw, so he's just witnessing all of these crimes happening, and he's just writing down
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah. Just
We just
page
pages
after
of
page,
like of the guy
ravenously.
showing up in like a really cartoonish bike, and then like, that's why he's got such a colorful costume on, because he's a cartoonist.
Yeah. That's a good story. I enjoy a crazy crime story. That was one, but we got another one here. This one actually comes from a listener named Stacy. She sent me an email with a link to this story, and she said in the email herself that she felt that it was her obligation to share such a bizarre local story with Keep Canada Weird. And Stacy, you did the right thing by submitting this story. This does qualify her into the Keep Canada Weird correspondent program. So, Stacy, if you want to email me your mailing address, I'll get the badge out to you right away. But let's get to the story. I'll read this one. This one is about the drunk concerned citizen on Vancouver Island. This happens on New Year's Eve, which is a great time for crazy
Yeah,
stories,
perfect.
second only to Halloween.
Mhm.
A bizarre New Year's Eve incident on Vancouver Island ended with an unexpected twist when a motorist trying to stop a suspected impaired driver turned out to be impaired themselves. The 50-year-old driver was issued a 90-day driving prohibition by Oceanside RCMP. According to a statement released Friday, the incident unfolded around 5:30 p.m. on December 31st in Qualicum Beach. Police had received reports of a potentially impaired driver who had been pulled over on Fern Road near Berwick Road. Another motorist arrived at the scene attempting to intervene and prevent the first driver from leaving the scene. However, when officers arrived, they quickly noticed the second driver had smelled of alcohol. A roadside breath test confirmed their impairment. The 50-year-old received an immediate 90-day driving ban, and their vehicle was impounded for 30 days. Meanwhile, the original driver under suspicion was found to be sober, completely sober. They were just struggling to drive in the dark. That wasn't the only impaired driving enforcement that night. Oceanside RCMP issued 2 more driving prohibitions, including one to a motorist who refused a breathalyzer and another to a driver who failed a test following a single vehicle crash. Unfortunately, there are still too many people who think it's acceptable to drink and drive, said Sergeant Shane Worth of the Oceanside RCMP. It's dangerous, it's illegal, and we're committed to removing impaired drivers from our roads every day of the year, even on New Year's Eve. What a bizarre situation, though. I pity for the first driver because I also suffer with bad vision in dark situations, especially if the road's wet. I find when I'm driving at night, at the beginning of the episode, I talked about how difficult it is to go outside when it's cold for me. It's the same driving at night. I feel like the world's oldest man when I'm in a car and it's dark, especially if the roads are wet. I don't know what the hell
A
is
lot
going
of
on.
people have that issue, especially the older and more feeble you get, the worse it gets.
What's the I thought about buying LED lights. You can get LED lights for your car that are supposed to be a lot brighter than regular lights. I actually thought about getting them.
I hate those when I'm driving a car that doesn't have them.
Yeah, when someone's coming towards you and it's just this.
Yeah, and that's more blinding
Yeah,
than
and
any wet dark
yeah, and it's
roads.
like pure white. It bugs me when they're driving towards me. But that said, it's like it's dangerous to drive at night if it's hard to see the road. And especially like I'm in Halifax. It's not like a huge city, but there are lots of like roundabouts and changing lanes and all this stuff. And you got to see
You
those
do have to
lines.
see the lines, yeah, no matter what.
This person did the right thing by pulling over when they were struggling to drive. The person who pulled up behind them that had been drinking,
Yeah.
come on,
That's what they call liquid
maybe
courage.
that's
You
it.
know, you have this, you feel invincible. You're like, you know what, I can intervene in this situation and save lives and be the hero.
It didn't happen for him.
No, it didn't happen. Maybe next year.
It's only a 90 day.
Maybe 2020, maybe New Year's Eve 2025. This person stops a bank robbery. And then all of us will have eggs on our faces.
Let's take a quick break, get to our segment on animal stories. And this is a good one. And I apologize for front loading the ad breaks. I'm putting them up front because we got a lot coming after this. Let's open our animal segment with a voicemail. This is a listener named Lindsay from Prince Edward Island who wants to bring up a topic we haven't discussed for the last few weeks, the animal uprising. Lindsay was actually a victim of an animal uprising related incident in Prince Edward Island, and it leads to her giving some theories on what may be going on. Here it comes.
Hello there, Jordan and handsome Aaron. I have a animal uprising story for you guys. I just have to say I was listening to the back catalog and someone predicted the animal uprising would be April 2nd this year, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. Just, with the price of everything and inflation and the government and politics, I'd be okay if animals were running the show for a little bit. I think it might actually help us out a bit. And I also think that the leaders of this animal uprising are the crows on the University of Prince Edward Island campus. And I learned this the hard way. One beautiful sunny day when I was on campus, I left my lecture hall and I was eating an apple. And all of a sudden, behind me, I felt what felt like long fingernails scratching the back of my head. And at first, for like a very brief second, I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. Someone's giving me a head massage. And then I snapped out of it and thought, I don't know anybody who should be touching my hair right now. And I whipped around and there was this crow like a foot away from my face, cawing at me and trying to peck at my face. And of course, I screamed and ran around like I had my pants on fire. And luckily, a friend of mine from my class came and helped shoo the crow away. And he told me afterwards that it was because I was eating an apple and the crow wanted a bite of my apple. That, or they are slowly but surely taking over the planet. And that's how I feel about the animal uprising. And now the crows on Prince Edward Island are probably the leaders of this uprising. Thanks, guys. Take care.
I think you've become a resident expert on the psychology of the animal uprising. What are your thoughts on this attack?
You and I have always said, after we've been deep diving into the complex and the nuanced plans of the animals.
We have to, because the mainstream media has been silent on this, which is shocking, but
absolutely silent. And we've been distracted with robins and tires and different things. And we kind of forget that this April, the official animal uprising will begin. We've seen a lot of things that have tipped us off about it. But
well, there's one that
the crows were the ones that we've always felt were were the brains behind the operation, and the ones that are at the top of the animal chain and are calling all the shots.
And this goes deep. I say the mainstream media has been silent on this, but world leaders are aware this is happening and are likely behind the scenes making steps to prepare for it. Actually, it's not so much a Canadian story, but I heard President-elect Donald Trump actually just gave a speech, I think like over the last 2 or 3 days at his Mar-a-Lago compound about situations involving whales reacting to windmills, which are used to generate power. I don't know if you're aware of this, but President-elect Trump made it clear that something unique is going on with the whales in response to the windmill power generation happening on the east coast of the United States. But anyway, it's coming. April is going to be a challenging time for everyone, but we're here at Keep Canada Weird to help get you through it, and at least to provide hopefully some pleasant distraction in the lead up to the decay of society.
Yeah, and I've early on submitted to the animal overlords. It will be interesting to see if they have mercy on me. I certainly hope so. I will have, my cat with me as an ally. He will champion my cause, Ken Tiggs. So I really hope that his word gets me mercy, and
I hope so too. I hope so too. Well, one animal we know that is not involved is likely dogs. Dogs are man's best friend, and I think that will carry through the animal uprising as well. And maybe that's why I find this next story concerning. A dog was put in a pretty precarious position, and here's the story. Dogs are known for having special skills, of course, loyalty, strong noses, and their protective nature. But they're not known for climbing trees. They probably should leave that to cats like Ken Tiggs. But a dog named Tigger chased a squirrel up a 50-foot tree on her family's property near Edmonton. She probably didn't get the squirrel in the end, but she did get a story to tell. Here's the story of a dog in a tree near Edmonton.
Tigger is just like any other dog. She likes to play, get the ball, run around her yard, and chase squirrels. And on Sunday, Tigger was, at first, taking part in her favorite activities.
I went outside with her. She had been watching a squirrel, and she went to the spruce trees that it is normally in. And I walked away a bit, and then I turned around and she was gone.
Tigger's mom, Sasha Marks, thought her pet might have went to visit their neighbors. Instead,
I looked up and she was like 50 feet up in the tree. That has always been there. She's never climbed it before, but that day she decided to.
The 1-year-old coonhound cross climbed the family's willow tree all on her own. But shortly after seeing Tigger in the tree, panic set in.
I was afraid of her falling. She's not a cat, so she wouldn't land on her feet. So,
with Mark's family away on a ski trip, she wasn't able to grab Tigger by herself. So she turned to first responders to rescue the dog that barked up the wrong tree.
When they came out and looked, they said, "Yep, it's a dog in a tree." They were in a little bit of disbelief too.
The shocked firefighters snapped a few pictures of Air Bud, then got to work rescuing the pup.
She was very happy to be carried down the ladder.
Tigger wasn't hurt, just a little cold. But next time around, mom and pup might be a little more cautious.
I'm a little afraid to let her off leash there now. Now that she knows she can climb it, but maybe she learned her lesson and she knows that she can't get back down again.
I like that story had an Air Bud reference. You don't hear a lot of Air Bud anymore, although that was kind of like a genre of film in, I guess, the late 90s, early 2000s. You remember Air Bud?
Yeah, I remember. I've never watched Air Bud, but I do remember that the film exists.
And it's not like a film; it's a whole series.
It's a series, yeah.
Dog, right. Like Air Bud, I think was a dog who played basketball. Then there was dog like a baseball version and this version and that version. It was a whole series of Air Dog movies. But anyway, this here story involves a dog chasing a squirrel. Of course, the squirrel books it up the tree, and the dog is dumb enough to chase it up there and then can't get it down. That sucks. What a dumb dog.
Well, I mean, an ambitious dog. I think you need to be careful because the dogs are on our side for now. But if we keep using derogatory terms like dumb dog or stupid dog or stinky dog or then we could lose the one ally that we have in the animal uprising. So
possibly, but I also see a situation where the crows are like, squirrels, hit it. All the squirrels run out. Dogs chase them. All the squirrels at once run up trees. All the dogs are up trees.
Yeah.
Humans are alone.
And maybe we could join them up there.
Well, you wouldn't think to look there.
Maybe tree houses are the way to go in the animal uprising.
The thing with this dog, just getting back to this story, if you watch the clip, the dog has no here's how dumb they are. They can only go forward. The dog has no trouble getting up the tree because he's walking up. But once he's up the tree, 30, 40 feet up or whatever. And it's important to note that this tree is not like it's not straight up. It's kind of leaning. So it's got a bit of a slope to walk up. The dog walks to the end where he's very high up, but he can't turn around to walk down the tree. He would have had to walk down backwards, but he couldn't, the dog wasn't smart enough to be like, okay, I need to find a way to reposition myself and I can just walk right back down the way I came up. I think when the animal uprising hits, there's not much the dogs are going to be able to do for us anyway.
You really have a negative view of dogs. I'm quite shocked at this, actually.
Just in this situation,
you've referenced several times to the lack of intelligence of a dog.
They're man's best friend because they kind of need us. Like cats, and this is no secret to dog or cat owners out there, but if you didn't come home from work tomorrow, it never came back, your cat, it'd be sad. It's your best friend. It would miss you. It'd be completely fine. If it was a dog, it would die the next day.
Just the next day? Wow.
Literally the next day. It would be up all night barking at the door, crying. It probably wouldn't sleep. And it would, if it got at its food, it would eat so much it made itself violently sick. And then it would just die the next day. Your cat, it would be completely fine. I hate to tell you.
Well, what's my cat going to do after a week?
It'd probably just go outside and find something.
It's not going to be able to get outside. I'm not there to let it out.
You didn't. Well, here's what would happen. You didn't come home from work. Eventually someone would realize Aaron's missing. And they would go to your house to do a wellness check. As the police officer opened the door to see if you're in there, Ken Tiggs would just book it outside. Be fine.
No, I don't think he would. He fears the outside greatly.
Okay.
In his current domesticated state.
I
don't think he would, but he would certainly find ways to feed himself because he knows where his bag of food is. So he'd be able to. He's chewed through the bag before, like the corner of the bag, and gotten his kibble out.
If he had, so he'd be fine for a while. But all this to say, animals rely on us to varying degrees of need. They rely on us. But we have a story here that I want to share with you that's very heartwarming, that involves a Keep Canada Weird correspondent stepping up and caring for an animal in need. We got an email from a listener. Her name is Trudy, and she did something great over the holiday. She decided to share it with us via email, so I'm going to share it with you and the Keep Canada Weird listeners now, and maybe together we can all give Trudy a round of applause. If you think it's justified, I'll let you decide if you want to start clapping.
I'll decide at the end if she deserves any applause at all.
Here it comes. These are Trudy's words that I'll read. My boyfriend and I decided to spend the holidays on a road trip from Kelowna to the Oregon coast, planning to hike and enjoy the ocean. On Christmas Eve, after checking into our hotel, we stopped at a bank ATM and noticed a wet, shivering puppy sitting nearby. My boyfriend was cautious at first, thinking it could be a setup or we were about to get jumped or something. But after looking around and seeing no one, we approached the small dog. She was cold. She was scared, so we opened our car door, and immediately she jumped in and curled up at my feet. Thinking she might be someone's missing pet, we took her to our hotel, even having to switch to a pet-friendly room, and planned to figure things out on Christmas morning. Over the next few days, we focused on finding her family. We visited local vets, the Humane Society. We posted on local lost and found pet pages on Facebook. She had no microchip, and no one recognized her, so we started preparing to the inevitability of adopting her. We researched everything she'd need. We researched everything we'd need to bring her back to Canada. A local vet was incredibly helpful in getting us sorted. On our last day, just an hour before we had to hit the road, a call came from a woman. She explained through tears that she'd witnessed the dog being abandoned and confirmed the original owner couldn't care for her. We felt sad for the situation, but relieved we weren't taking her from a loving home. That sealed the deal. She officially became a Canadian. She became our dog. We named her Lori, and she's now part of our family. The end. Yeah.
What a great story. I was really surprised as you were reading it though, Jordan, that you held back by saying dumb puppy and using certain language, stinky dog, and why didn't you just leave it there? That's a very wonderful story. I would say that that this correspondent Trudy is Keep Canada Weird hero. And it's a good Christmas story. There's going to be some kind of a Pixar animation Christmas holiday film made out of this story.
No, they're going to bring Air Bud back. This dog is going to learn how to play a sport, and there's like a local team.
He's going to learn how to play curling. He's going to learn because he's Canadian.
Yeah, that's
now,
right.
so
The local curling team.
This is going to be a curling dog.
Yeah, and the local curling team is like really struggling, and they need someone to help them compete for the big tournament. And luckily, her dog Lori knows a thing or two about curling. Air Bud Part 14. We're getting near the end of the episode here, but I saved what you will probably think to be the best for last. Tell me again, just for people new to the show, someone's tuning in for the first time tonight, and somehow they managed to listen to all of this, and they're still here, and we're about to get even weirder. Tell this new listener who just tuned in why you want listeners of Keep Canada Weird to share with us tire stories. Why stories about tires?
Why stories about tires? I have to be honest, I don't remember what triggered my desire, my deep, lustful desire for tire stories. It was something conversational you and I were deep in, and something about tires. I can't remember.
Next thing you know, you wanted tires.
I wanted tire stories, yeah.
They started coming in, and they've gotten better and better and better. Last week, in fact, we had a life or death tire story. Tonight, we're going to have a tire story from a listener named Riley that just, I wouldn't say it borders on the absurd. It takes several steps over it. As you hear Riley's story, try to imagine this playing out in your head, because to me, this sounds completely unbelievable, but too weird to make up. Here's Riley's tire story.
So here's a tire story for you. I had just got my Miata and it needed new tires. So I brought it to the shop and they swapped them out, and
it's already really good.
They pulled me aside after and they were like, hey, like, this car would be really cool to drift. Have you ever drifted it? And I was like, no, like, I've kind of thought about it, but I don't really know how to drift. And they were like, well, we really don't want to throw away these tires. We think you should save them and learn how to drift with your car. So obviously the tires wouldn't fit in the Miata, so I actually ended up coming back with my Jetta I had at the time and brought the tires back. And I still have them so that I can put them back on my car when I'm ready to learn how to drift it. So I hope that that tire story was interesting for you.
Yeah.
Is that the weirdest thing you've ever heard?
What's drifting? Like, what specifically is drifting?
Well, that's like Fast and the Furious, where you're like, in a parking lot, and your car's kind of
slam on the brakes and
around.
it kind of
just like drift, or you like spin around. All this smoke's there, and there's a bunch of like everyone has souped up cars.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm thinking, well, for one, it's crazy that the guy at the mechanic would be like, excuse me, ma'am, like, have you ever considered learning to drift with your car? Because it'd be great. Like, that seems so bizarre and unbelievable that would happen. The only thing I can think of is that they didn't want to deal with her old tires, and some guy's like, let's see if we can convince her. I'll give you $20 if you can convince her to keep these old tires that we'll have to pay to remove. And it was the Hail Mary, like, you should keep these. These would be great for drifting.
Yeah, it's like the pharmacist asking you if you've tried heroin.
Have you ever or like no, the pharmacist being like, have you ever played like the stacking empty pill bottle game?
Yeah, have you ever jabbed yourself with a dirty needle? Because I have a whole canister of them.
Yeah, if you want to take them out of here.
Yeah, because I don't want them.
No.
So maybe you could go into the parking lot and just poke them all in your skin.
Yeah. But now, this poor listener, she's stuck at home with a bunch of old tires for the day that she may decide to drift her car.
It sounded like they just didn't have any more room left for old tires. It's like, I don't want to, like, we just don't have any more room for old tires.
Yeah. Unless maybe like drifting is a part of car ownership that has completely gone over my head, but I've never once thought like I should learn to drift.
No, although it could really come in handy if you are robbing a bank with a car as opposed to a bicycle.
As far as tire stories, how does this one stack up?
It's very good. It's doesn't have the life or death element from last week's tire story where the girl gets hit on the head.
Yeah. It almost but it has something completely like unexpected. Like I think
but it's more absurd. Yeah. It's more of a meta view on tires.
I think a lot of people out there who are interested in tire stories will be like, did you hear on Keep Canada Weird the tire story that they had? Like, 'cause it's quite unexpected.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so great about tires is that they just when you think they're taking you one way, they drift you in another.
Good analogy.
People have been in the dark with their tire stories their whole lives. And they've never had anyone interested in their tires like I am. I want to know about your tires. Where have they been? Where are they going?
You're giving a platform.
Yeah. Have they hurt you? Have you drifted in them? It's endless, the amount of stories that we could get about tires. Well, it's endless.
Let's just keep it going. I will keep the lines open. If you have a tire story, go to nighttimepodcast.com/contact. Use the voice recorder. And if your tire story or any other voicemail gets aired on the show, we will send you a Keep Canada Weird swag pack as a thank you, as well as a membership badge, pin, or sticker or button that proves you're a correspondent, an official correspondent of Keep Canada Weird. But with all that said, let's wrap up the show tonight. I think we can put a bow on this. We can stick a fork in it.
Yeah, let's put a bow on it. Yeah, let's stick a number of forks in it.
Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
Jordan Bust Up Bonaparte, until next time.
What puzzles me is two things. For one, this idea that you're planning to drift sometime in the future with your car. And two, you see like a lost dog or like this little shivering dog, and your first thought is like, is this a setup? Are we about to get jumped? I don't think that's what I would think if I saw a little dog like that.
No, if I saw a dog like that, it would be such a weird trap to set up for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, I'm going to take a shivering dog and put them in the corner. And then when somebody feels bad for that dog,
I jump out.
Up.
It's like the world's,
beat them up.
It sounds like a villain from Care Bears or something.
It would be even worse if the dog turned on you as well. Like the dog is totally in on it. It's like, you idiot. Yeah.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you've got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us, or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, you, Nicole, for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. That helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
Hi, Jordan and handsome Aaron. This is Ray in Oregon again. I don't know if you remember me. I've called in a few times with some creep encounters and also some compliments. And I've called with another compliment for you guys. So, the winter time is really hard on me as far as like my chronic pain disorder, and I've been in a bit of a slump lately. Just with pain increase, it's really affecting my mood, and I was catching up on some of your Keep Canada Weird episodes, and I have to tell you how much you guys turned my mood around. Listening to handsome Aaron describe his thick, coarse chest hair was, that really did it for me. I kind of lost it laughing, and I just really appreciated the lightheartedness, and I just wanted to thank you guys for making my day better. And I wanted to thank you too for the pin that you sent me, the Keep Canada Weird pin. I'm obsessed with it, and I have gotten a couple compliments on it, people asking where I got it, and I told them that, you have to be part of the Keep Canada Weird Army, and I told them how to enroll, so hopefully you get some new members soon. Okay, anyway, have a great day, you guys. Happy 2025. I hope it greets you with many smiles and wonderful memories. Thank you.